From BQE Restaurant and Lounge in the heart of Atlanta's historic Martin Luther King District, it's Newsmakers Live, bringing you the issues, politics, and perspective of the Atlanta community. Now in its 10th season, here is tonight's moderator and your host, 8-time Emmy Award-winning broadcast journalist, Mr. Maynard Eaton.
And thank you to my partner, Jim Welcome, who's not here tonight. We've been doing this Newsmakers Live for 10 years. It's been a treat to learn and know about politics in this town. Now we have two newcomers to politics who are now battling out for Fulton County Commission District 4. Natalie Hall to my left, to my right, won 27% of the votes, I understand. But you're not really a newcomer. Your husband was a city councilman.
I'm still a newcomer.
And to her right is Captain Flowers, who's truly a newcomer with 28% of the votes. Kind of a narrow finish for a runoff race. Let's start with, what have you learned about yourself in this campaign?
First, I want to say thank you, Maynard, thank you, BQE, and the owners for having us. What I've learned about myself during this process is that I'm more of a fighter and a front runner type person that I knew, because I'm so used to working in the background and working behind the scenes. I've done that for 25 plus years of my life, and so this is new to me. I've never run for office, unlike Catherine, who's run for office before. I've never done this before. I've only been behind those people that have been elected. And so this was it was awakening for me, and I do have a newfound respect for elected officials and this process and the things that they have to go through in order to get here. I knew that, when I was young, I grew up in a Chicago political family, and I knew I didn't like politics, and I didn't like it because of the dirty, grimy, mean-spirited parts of it, and some of that I experienced during my campaign. And I was really shocked because I felt like Atlanta, the city that's too busy to hate, you wouldn't find that type of hate here. Yes, so it was very eye-opening into everything that you deal with behind the scenes as an elected official or even a candidate. And I learned that I'm a lot more of a fighter and a very, upfront person than I thought.
Captain, what about you? You run before, she said?
I have.
What about this time?
I will say what I have learned is that I am more committed than ever to serving the community, that my sense of what has been going on in the community was much greater than what I thought it was, that I have a very good pulse of what people are feeling in their everyday lives. And so that was something that I was like, I've been on the money about why I entered in this race and what I can accomplish. The other thing, and Natalie is correct, I ran for Atlanta City Council in 1998, so that's been a number of years ago. And it is a completely different arena in terms of running for office today than it was some 20 years ago.
How is that? How has the arena changed in Fulton and Atlanta? How are things different now politically? I want to ask you that too.
In terms of
how the arena of politics has changed in this Fulton and Atlanta area?
Well, the biggest change for me was more of a social media presence, because now it's a different arena than it was when I ran years ago. So I don't think it's any different. I think, as I mentioned the last time, that the community has been slowly walking on the poverty for many, many years, and they just didn't realize it. So in that sense, I think people are much more aware of what is actually going on in their lives, and that's the reason they want change.
Now, what have you learned about Fulton County in this election?
Well, first let me say that I didn't learn that I was committed just because of this race. I've always been committed. That wasn't something that I had to learn about myself. And as far as how things have changed, yes, we do have more social media, but having had an IT background for the past 25 years, you still need to touch the people. And so social media may be an added advantage to running for office, but it's still not the main advantage. You still have to go out and touch the people and talk to them. you still have to actually reach them at where they're at. You can't rely on just email and text messages and social media pages to do that. So that's what I've noticed is different.
And what I can say is that I know firsthand, because I believe that I have attended almost every meeting within District 4. I have been to almost every senior center in this District 4. For those communities that I wasn't able to reach, it was not for a lack of effort. I have canvassed in communities and I have pressed the flesh, and that is the reason I was the #1 finisher in this race.
What have you learned about this county in this election? 16 cities, some people said, well, does Fulton County really matter much anymore? Does it not really matter? Now cities are running the county, right?
Well, of course it matters. Fulton County still offers very important services that are needed, and it gives us an opportunity to focus on those areas where the city might not have the opportunity to do. I believe as a commissioner, one of the things I looked at was the budget for the jail. We spend a lot of money on incarceration. And so with that being said, one of the reasons I'm running is to focus on job creations and inclusive economic development in those underserved communities as a way to sort of thwart what is going on in the community. If we create jobs for people, give them opportunities, we can help you reduce that budget and use that money much more wisely.
Fulton County is very important in this equation. We don't have to work on increasing the jobs or anything like that. We already have the ability to provide jobs to people. We have a workforce development department that is bigger and better than the city of Atlanta. We have funding to retrain people in any field that's necessary, up to $5,000 per year per person. We have the ability to do those things now. We don't have to work toward them. We just need to take those services to the people. And as far as the different neighborhood MPUs, neighborhood business, civic, and other associations that are available out there, for the past 6 years as the chief of staff to Joan Garner, your Fulton County Commissioner, who passed away in April from cancer, for the past 6 years, we went to every senior center in District 4. We went to every MPU meeting, every neighborhood business and civic association meeting. So that's something that we did on a regular basis, year by year, month by month. And it's not something that I just had to jump up and do during the campaign.
Let's talk about workforce development. The city gets $4 million, as I understand it. The county gets $4 million. There are those who suggest and wonder, why doesn't the city and the county collaborate? Are you really getting the biggest bang for your buck from workforce development?
Well, what I wanted to say about workforce development, I think this sort of highlights the problem with what is going on in the community. The fact that we can sit here and discuss workforce development and what's available and what's not being communicated, what we know is that people are not doing well. That is what we know. We know that people need to make more income. And it is our responsibility to partner with outside sources to be able to create jobs and pay people living wage. And so when we sit here and say what's being done, obviously it's not. And people have a very good sense that things are not going as well as they are portrayed, and that is the reason people want change.
For the past 6 years, Joan Garner hosted workforce development job fairs every single year. And every single year, we employed between 5,000 and 1,000 people at every job fair. So we were reaching people to give them the jobs. But as you know, in any government agency, you have a limitation on how much you can do. You can only stretch the taxpayer dollars so far. So that being said, we have the ability to do what we can do with what we have. You can't do any more than that. So as far as partnership, you said the city of Atlanta has the same amount of money.
Would it be beneficial to work together?
It would be absolutely beneficial. However, as you have seen with the Tri-J, which was for the homeless, the Tri-J was DeKalb, City of Atlanta, Fulton County, and they split up. when they split up, it made it where Fulton County could no longer provide homelessness services inside of the city of Atlanta, because now the city of Atlanta was a separate entity that was to focus on those homeless services. So we had a lot of laws and jurisdiction issues and mandates and policies that keep us and politics, yes, that keep us restricted and limited on our ability to partner a lot of times. As, for instance, the state mandates what the county can and can't do. And then the county has other non-mandated services that they try to offer in addition to those mandated services, because we just simply care about providing those services and programs to the people.
I thought I heard in your voice that you don't think Joan Gardner's office did that well.
That is absolutely not true. What I am saying, it has nothing to do with that. The reason I am running, I knew Joan very well. And what I am suggesting that I am running because we have issues in our community. If you look at income inequality, if you look at the crime, the amount of people that are repeat offenders that are going into jail, what we have not been doing is discussing how do we work outside the box, how do we present progressive ideas to do something differently. And I am offering myself as a candidate that will come in and work to do things differently. It is not a criticism of any person. I know Natalie worked in Joan's office and she said it was a communications issue, that we just haven't been able to communicate with people. And so I see that as something that, if, as her chief of staff, if that were something, well, I've been in other forums with you where you have suggested that. So,
What did you say?
I never said that there was a communication issue. I said that you have to get out and reach the people. And anyone here who knows Joan, they know that she had cancer twice in the 6 years that she was elected. And it was unfortunate. You cannot reach the people if you're sick. However, we tried to do the best that we could while she was in office, and we did what we could do in reaching those people. So what I am here for and why I'm running is because I want to continue that work, because I know how to get it done. And I feel like we do not have the time to waste on someone coming in and trying to learn how to do these things. You have to have relationships in these environments to be able to move fast on your feet. You cannot take time to learn. This is to fill a vacancy that is for just a term, a part of the term. This is not even for a full 4 years. You have a budget of $1 billion that's coming up for vote in January, and you need someone who knows how to make sure that the District 4 constituents get what they need in that budget. And I'm that person. So that's why I'm running.
So what I can tell you is, when I decided to run for office, the first thing I did is to meet with the Director of Finance and the person who prepares the budgets. I have an MBA in finance. I've worked on budgets before. I have the skills necessary to do this job. In this instance, neither of us have worked to push policies because we've never served as an elected official. And so I have worked in my community. I have a corporate background where I've worked on budgets, and I want to marry the two items so that we can then move forward. I absolutely have the skills necessary to prepare this job.
It seems like it's a tale of north side and south side. Is a culture change needed in Fulton County? Are we seeing a new county emerging? Or is it still a black side and a white side?
What I am seeing is that we have a part of town, a part of the county, that has not gotten their fair share of economic inclusiveness. And so what we want to do is to say, while we like the things that we've done over even in our fourth ward, it is time that we go into underserved communities and present opportunities for people to make a living wage. Not $15 an hour necessarily, because what we know is that that's $31,200 a year, which is not enough money. It is not adequate for people to survive on. And so I do think that it is time for us to start thinking outside the box and presenting different types of options.
Is there a workforce development school?
Yes, it is. And if you have experience, you know that. But when you don't have experience, you don't. And to go back to the comment about I don't have experience pushing policy, if you have experience in the county, then you know that a chief of staff does get experience pushing policy, because a commissioner is a part-time position. A chief of staff is a full-time position. When the commissioner wants policy to go forward to the Board of Commissioners, the chief of staff has to work with the county attorney, get that policy written appropriately to place it on the agenda. You have to go through the county manager's office. You also have to go around and talk to every Board of Commissioners office to tell them what it is you're putting on that agenda that they're going to need to vote on. So that is a part of pushing the policy. And that's what a chief of staff does. So I have that experience.
You've got a lot of power, a lot of clout that's come from big business. Used to be with the Federal Reserve Bank. Why is a guy, a millionaire, working in the county manager's office? Is there another agenda there? A millionaire running the county.
Well, for one, it takes money off the table. He can't be bought. Okay? The man has all the money he needs. He just brought a new Benz, you know. I mean, it takes that issue off the table, which is an issue that a lot of elected officials get locked up over. So, exactly. So then the other thing is, in this structure of Fulton County, the county is structured like this. You have the Board of Commissioners. It takes 4 votes to get anything done, which means that you have to have the proper relationships to move anything forward. The county manager is hired by the Board of Commissioners. That takes 4 votes to get that county manager hired. So, you do the math, you understand why he is where he is. He had 4 of those county commissioners who said, this is a great person to do the work that we need done. And he has done a great job. I have to commend him on that, because in the 6 years that I worked for Joan, we had 6 county managers. And that's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, we need you to stay on board.
What I would like to do is win on December the 5th. That is my priority for right now, and we will get to that. I don't have any other agenda today than winning on December the 5th so that I can represent the people and do what is in the best interest of the people.
What was your path really make you?
To continue doing the things that we've done. We have been out in the community. We have talked to almost all of the neighborhood organizations. We've reached, we've canvassed those communities, and so we plan to do that same thing that got us to the #1 spot the previous time on November the 7th.
Ms. Hall, you're married to a popular city councilman, former city councilman, ran for mayor. What was it like for the two of you, both of you running for office?
It was really great running together, because I had an opportunity to touch more people faster, because like you say, my husband's very popular. He's very popular. Actually all over, because he was born and raised in Southwest Atlanta. And he went to Benjamin E. Mays, he grew up here, he's born and raised, so he has a base in Southwest Atlanta, in addition to the fact that we've lived in the Old Fort Ward for the past 18 years, and he's been the councilman for 15. So going out and campaigning with him added an additional, positive piece to my campaign, because I was able to actually touch more people faster and get into places where I would not normally be able to get into. Other candidates were not invited. So it was good that way. But on top of that, to answer your question about how do you get to the win, Catherine is correct. You do have to continue touching all the voters and the people. But also what I've gained in this is that I have a lot of endorsements that are coming down the pipe as I speak, as I sit right here. Congressman John Lewis is endorsing me. Nan Orrock is endorsing me. Former President Jimmy Carter's grandson is former State Senator Jason Carter is endorsing me, and there are a slew of other people who are endorsing me across the board in every form of government. So, because they know the work that I've done behind the scenes, and they know that I can get the job done after December 5th.
That may well be good news. But there are also those who suggest in this digital age, endorsements really don't move that much. Does that matter to you?
I'm not concerned about endorsements at this time. I want the endorsement of the voters. Those are the people that I will be representing, and that is what I'm seeking to do, is get out and get as much support from the community that I can.
Where do you think how did you get here? I mean, you have name recognition, you have experience running, and you neck and neck for the seat. Is that a story in itself? The two young ladies vying for the seat so close to me? Contestant?
Yes, it is. And I would never have considered myself having name recognition before now, because a lot of people only knew me from behind the scenes. They didn't really know me like Catherine, who's been a candidate. So this was something new.
I knew you with your husband.
Well, they knew my husband for certain. That was surely something they knew. But a lot of people would actually tell me, I did not know that you were married to Kwanzaa. I knew you were Jones' chief of staff, but I didn't know you were married to Kwanzaa. And then you had an entirely different group who would say, I didn't know you were Jones' chief of staff. So what I've come to realize is that there's a big difference between the voters that vote for the City of Atlanta races and the voters who vote for the Fulton County races. You have some instances where Fulton County voters don't even worry about voting for City of Atlanta candidates, and vice versa. So that's a dynamic that you also have to address as a candidate.
Captain, you also going to say, I told you.
I did.
You didn't think I'd get there, did you?
You did not. And what I said to you is that I worked hard. I touched as many voters as I could. I have a very good sense of what is going on in people's lives and where we need to make changes. And that message resonated with people. And so we're going to continue to do what we have been doing. And we feel that on December the 5th, we will be victorious.
What do you tell me, each of you, needs to be done in Fulton County? People are not necessarily satisfied with city government or Fulton County government. What's the answer? What's the solution? How we can do better?
So one of the things
Need to do better.
we need, and we do. I mean, obviously, there's always room for improvement. But one of the things that we know that has caused a lot of consternation for people more immediately is the tax issue. So that is something that has created a lot of concern for a lot of different people. And so we have to address that much more immediately. We know that affordable housing is an issue. And so one of the things that I've suggested and repeatedly said is that I think we need to take the boundaries off of what we do. Our job is to work to do what we're responsible to do, but we're also to work with other elected officials to provide solutions to problems. And so that is what I'm committed to do, and I will do when I win on December the 5th.
Repeat the question.
What needs to be done in Fulton County? A lot of people are dissatisfied with government, city and county. What is your solution to what ails us?
Okay, I wanted to just make sure I'm answering your actual question. In Fulton County, we have a situation where you have the north and the south. And anybody who's been here for some years knows that that has always been a battle. The north feels like they pay more taxes than the south, and they feel like their tax money is going toward providing more services and programs to the south instead of them, services that they feel like they don't need. And so you have to bridge this gap between the people not knowing and understanding how their tax dollars are used. And I think that you need to communicate more across the board to the constituents to know exactly what Fulton County is offering. Because what I found when working with workforce development, that people in the north need jobs just as bad as people in the south. But for some reason, the north thinks that we don't need all those jobs. You're spending your workforce development dollars more so in South Fulton instead of up here where we live, and that's not true.
Is race still a very prevalent issue in this county?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes.
I would agree with that.
Race still.
I do, and I think what is sort of driving the discussion more because our district is in the city of Atlanta, has to do with, there's a correlation between gentrification. And so people feel they're being displaced. So that does rise the issue of...
Really? Your issues are much the same as many of the mayor's issues. The mayoral runoff, is that correct?
Well, what I think is important is that we all work to collaborate together to provide solutions for the people. I am running not as a politician, but as a public servant. And in doing that, that means that I have got to work with other elected officials to provide solutions that have meaningful impact on people's lives. And so that's what I'm planning.
Well, someone suggests for the city of Atlanta and for Fulton County, we're entering a new era. We're at a pivotal point here, a new dawning of a new kind of local government. Do you agree with that? If so, in what way?
I do agree with that because if you look across the board at the elections, we have an entirely different way of running for office. You see a lot of Democrats all in the same race. You wouldn't have seen that before in the past. It's a different way of doing things now. Even across the board in the party doesn't even function the same way. So yes, it's very different.
Now, the new day, new dawning?
I do, and I think it's sort of motivated because people are finally waking up and understanding that their lives are not better. They have not always been served in a manner that has meaningful, positive impact on their lives. And I think because of that, that is motivating people to do things a little differently. And so we need to change.
You know, people say their lives are not better. We have black elected officials. There's some who say black elected officials are not doing us better.
Well, I can't speak to that in District 2, City Council District 2, because when I moved here with my husband in 1999, I couldn't even take my son to school, and I was not one of those parents who agreed with busing your child to, another school that's supposed to be much better. I believe that you move into the community to make it better. You make it better. You put your child in the local school right by your home, and that's how we raise our children. They went to the Atlanta Public School in the neighborhood, and we fought for our neighborhood to be better. And so I just believe that you have to do it yourself. You have to get in there.
Yeah, the black elected officials have been okay in this city of the civil rights?
What I believe is that we have not always put at the forefront the issues that are most important to people. And while some people have done well, I mean, we can look at 04th Ward. I live in 04th Ward. I moved to 04th Ward in 2000 as a participant to help grow and improve the neighborhood. But I can always also say that while I love 04th Ward, I think it is also an example of what we may not want to do on the northwest and southwest part of town. If you look at the neighborhood, it is not as diverse as it used to be. Hence the reason that people are now concerned when they live in other parts of town that they're being displaced. And so we take the good from the improvements, but also make sure that we don't displace people who've been in communities for a long time so that they can reap the benefits of the improvements that are going to be coming down the pipeline.
I am really surprised to hear Catherine say that because she lives in my neighborhood only a few blocks away, and on Randolph Street, which I can step out onto my back porch and I can look across to my neighbor's house. My neighbor, she's been there for about 50, 60 years, and directly across the street from her sister has been there that long too, and they were never displaced. We have the Mills Center, Helene Mills Senior Facility, who's named after Helene Mills, who still lives in the neighborhood. There are many situations like that and examples like that in the 04th Ward that show that there has not been displacement. However, I think what people are a little bit confused about is the fact that you have predatory people that come into these neighborhoods. And they may see a senior in a home who's been there for 60 years, and that home is falling down, and that senior doesn't have the ability to renovate that home and make it better. And that senior sees the growth that's going on in that neighborhood, and this predatory person comes along and says, oh, you know what? I'll offer you $60,000 for your home. Well, that senior's thinking, well, I only bought this house for $25,000 or $30,000, and they think that $60,000 is great. But they don't know that the homes around them are selling for well over that $300,000, $400,000, and they end up selling their home. So we have situations like that where we need to get in there and talk to the neighborhood people and let them know, bring them into the fold and help them understand the situation that they're in and help them make the right decisions.
Well, for those examples, and I know a lot of the people that she's talking about, we can name several people where that hasn't been the case. And so they have had to sell their homes. Not all of them have been seniors. Some of these were homes that were left to children who were not able to pay taxes. And so therefore they fell behind in their mortgages, and unfortunately they were forced to sell their homes. So I think, again, my perspective is we have to be much more pragmatic and realistic when we deal with people and how we move forward. And so in doing that, we have to acknowledge that while some of those people are predatory, there are instances where my neighbor who lives across the street from me had to sell her home because she couldn't afford her taxes. So it's not a predatory situation.
On a personal note, I have to say this, speaking to the development of 04 board, a good friend of mine helped start and launch the Sewer District Development Corporation, Ms. Marie Cowser. Really loved her. A great community activist. I would love to see what she said about the two of you.
Well, Marie was my best friend, and she used to stop by my house every single day. Her daughter Giovanni used to be with her, and then once Giovanni had her grandson, they would come over. Marie was very integral in my husband actually proposing to me, and she was very much a part of the home that we lived in, because she told him, look, you need to take this house and buy this house and propose to that woman with the key ring of that house, because you're not going to have any money left after you buy it. So that's how Conz and I actually got married and ended up in the home that we're in. So as far as the additional conversation about affordability, for people who don't know, if you go to Boulevard, there is a high-rise called City Lights. It's a senior affordable high-rise. It's brand new. It just recently opened. The HUD Secretary, Ben Carson, just came about 2 weeks ago to look at it because it's one of the best in the nation, and Kwanzaa Hall is the person responsible for making sure that happens. There will also be about 200 to 300 more units that will be coming online. There will be a City Lights 2 and a City Lights 3 that will be coming online in the area to address affordable housing. So there are things that are going on that we have in the plans for 04th Ward and the district.
But are there other things going on in the rest of the county? Are there other things going on in the rest of the county?
Well, I wanted to answer the question about Marie, because I knew Marie as well for a number of years. And
great lady, right?
Oh, she was fantastic. And I will share that I believe that Marie and I were kindred spirits in terms of community interest, in terms of making sure that we look after seniors. And I think she would be very proud of the work that we've done and the message that we have for our
Let me ask you one last question, please. This has been a great conversation with two dynamic political candidates. Your personal choice for the chairman of the Fulton County District, Keisha Waits or Locke, please?
No comment.
I'm going to focus on my race, and I think that's the astute thing to do here, because unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. We've got to get our message out, and so my focus is on my race and making sure that I cross the finish line on December 5th.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Catherine Flowers.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.